What up, everybody? Welcome to The Sweat, presented by the DraftKings Sportsbook. I'm your host for the next 30 minutes, Emerson Latia, riding shotgun with me. Julian Edlow of DraftKings,
Hello.
Josh Applebaum of VSiN. Good morning to both of you, gentlemen. Whether it is draft position, whether it is a playoff seeding, every game means something to every team today on the main slate here in Week 14. Before we dive into your best bets, let's take a gander at some of the top betting trends that people need to keep in mind here before they hit up the DK Sportsbook. So Denver has a terrible offense, so not a shocker to see the under at 11-1 in their games. Underdogs, who have won at least 70% of their contests this late in the season, 14-23-1 ATS since 2016. So we're looking at you, Minnesota, getting 2 points at Detroit. In the last two seasons, the Eagles have not been great at covering the spread on the road versus the NFC East. Meanwhile, following a straight-up loss together, Mike Vrabel, Ryan Tannehill, pretty good at bouncing back. 11-6-1 ATS. So, Jules, which trend here surprises you the most?
Which trend surprises me the most? I don't think you can say Denver, and if that one continued, I don't think any of us would say that. I guess maybe just how good Tennessee has been after a loss.
Yeah.
We kind of forget how good they've been. The number one seed in the AFC last year. It doesn't feel like they've had that type of dominance during this run with Mike Vrabel. So that one, I guess, a little bit surprising. You mentioned the Eagles and Giants game. Here's a trend for you. The outdoor divisional unders this year, and this is per Action Network, outdoor divisional unders are hitting at 70%. They're 26, 11, and 1. So we're at that time of year where it feels like that trend should continue. So that's one to add on that I'm looking at today.
All right, Josh, which one would you consider here the most before placing a bet today?
So one quick comment, you're going to like this, Emerson. A lot of movement to your Jaguars here late. That's what kind of jumped out to me. Vrabel's been great as a dog, not that great as a favorite. A couple games under 500, but you did see Jaguars came in this morning at the VSiN Studios. They were getting 3.5. Now they're down to 3. Nice. Late movement to the Jags. But the one that I really like is that under. I know everyone's playing the Denver under, and it's like, how do you not play it? They're 11-1 to the under. But that total actually went up. You had an opener there of like 42. You're up to 44. Public's on the under like 60%. When the public typically loves betting overs, when they load up on an under, Emerson, that to me provides a contrarian over opportunity. So I wouldn't just run to the window, bet another Broncos under. Even though they've been great, looks like some over money in that game.
Yeah, Chiefs.
One more quick trend for you. Sorry, we got the Dallas game up there, 17-point favorite or larger. Those spots, they seem a little square to lay that many points with anyone. Last 5 years, teams have favored by 17 points or more, 9-5 against the spread. So when it's supposed to be a monster blowout, it has generally been a monster blowout.
That spread is twice as big as that one we see between the Chiefs and the Broncos. Chiefs 8.5-point favorites on the road, which, by the way, Mahomes, when he's at least a 7-point favorite on the road, 7-0 straight up, but 1-6 ATS. Time now to share those best bets, which, by the way, Steve remains atop the standings.
He doesn't lose.
No, the guy bets the Steelers every week, and he's undefeated best bets. But the Steelers are like under 500. We got to check the math here.
You may be onto something here. A little tease there for what his best bet may be today. So he has yet to lose this season, but Josh coming off a Vegas moneyline win. Jules, you sound salty, buddy. All these flavors, and you choose to be salty. Falling to 7-5-1 this year. So, Jules, who are you looking at today, or which team are you looking at today to help you get back on track here?
I have more plays today in the NFL than I have in a while. I've been pretty conservative in NFL. I put out a decent amount, but the one that I'm going to for best bets, we're going to go to Monday Night Football, and I'm going with the Patriots money line. I think this is a spot that Bill Belichick and the Patriots are going to show up. They had back-to-back Thursday games, back-to-back Thursday losses against the Vikings and the Bills. Offense looked terrible the last we remember them in that Bills game. But look at that Thanksgiving game in Minnesota. The Patriots were moving the ball on the road against what we perceive as a good team. We'll talk about that today with Minnesota, obviously being a dog in Detroit. But this strikes me as a really similar spot. They just played Thursday Night Football. They get all this time off all the way into the Monday national game. They go against a poorly coached Arizona team. Just 1-5 at home, these Arizona Cardinals. A bad defense that I think this is a gotta-have-it spot for the Patriots and a gotta-have-it spot specifically for the Patriots offense. So I would be surprised if they didn't put up some points in this game. I think the defense has been solid. It'll show up against Kyler Murray and co. So only red flag, a little bit of a look-ahead spot towards the Josh McDaniels game in Vegas. They stay out west. But I think that this game specifically is one the Patriots have to have.
All right, Josh, you like a money line bet as well. Different game here.
I do, and you guys, one thing I look for when I'm betting the NFL is games that don't make sense, that are fishy, that just really, seriously, you're like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Why is this team favored over another? And I'm going to go to this Minnesota-Detroit game. So give me the Detroit Lions here, guys, on the money line, -135. Right off the bat, if the Lions going to this game are 5-7 and they're playing the Vikings, who are 10-2, why is the 5-7 team favored over the 10-2 team? That makes no sense. This is one of those games that, again, you go on, hashtag gambling Twitter, you're going to hear a lot about, oh, the wrong team is favored. But I think when you look at it from the bookmakers' perspective, they're just not that high on Minnesota this year. They're only +10 in point differential. Detroit's been playing pretty well here as of late. They've won 4 of their last 5. But look at what the market has done here on this game. This game actually opened Vikings laying 3 on the road. Immediately that thing got down to 2-1 to a pick'em. We've hopped the fence now, guys, to Detroit laying 2.5 here, or laying 2 based on what number you can get here. So I love the fact that it doesn't make sense. Why is Detroit favorite? When I first bet on sports, I would say, hey, the bookmakers are wrong. Give me the obvious play here in Minnesota. But the obvious play doesn't always win. So I love this move toward Detroit. Campbell, he's 19-10 against the spread, 67%. And again, you're only getting about 25-30% of bets on Detroit, yet the line is going toward Detroit. So I like this play here to the Lions. Give me Lions money line -135.
All right, well, Steve, again, not here, but shocker, his favorite bet today is Steelers.
Stevie Steelers.
Steelers money line. I know you don't agree with it, Jules.
I don't.
We'll get into it coming up later in this show.
We will.
Because coming up next, we're going to take a look at some key storylines here that could impact your betting approach to today's slate, including a couple injuries here in Cincinnati. What Josh and Jules are sweating when the sweat, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, continues. The wait is over. DraftKings Sportsbook is officially live in Maryland. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code SWEAT to get $200 in free bets instantly when you place a $5 bet on anything. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the app now. All right, back on your screen, it is The Sweat presented by the DraftKings Sportsbook. I'm Emerson Latzia asking Jules and Josh here the hard-hitting questions like, what are you sweating? So we're talking storylines here, guys, that you're giving some extra thought to before placing your bets. Let's start in Cincinnati. So Joe Mixon, yes, he's back for the Bengals. However, Amari Cooper has been tabbed as a game-time decision with a hip injury. Deshaun Watson, as we saw last week, could use all the help that he can get right now. Jules, how does this impact your betting approach, this injury? How does it impact your betting approach to this game?
Well, apparently it's not affecting somebody's betting approach towards the Browns, because we've seen this one come from, 6 earlier in the week, down to 5.5, 5, and then the big move to 3.5 before we came on air. So I don't know if that means Cooper's good to go or in better shape than we think, or regardless, sharp money just likes the Browns. I don't have as much of a take on this one. I like the way the Bengals are rolling. They've really not turned things around like they were that bad early in the season, but they've really gotten things going and become that team that we feel like, okay, it would not be a surprise at all to see this team go back to the Super Bowl. I think that Cooper is somewhat needed in this game because it was a weird debut for Deshaun Watson, right? You haven't played in 2 years. You go back to the franchise that you played for and play that road game. That's a tough spot. This spot doesn't get any easier, though, with a divisional outdoor game in December now for a guy that was playing in Houston all this time. I do think that Watson is going to need Cooper in this game, but I don't think it's going to be the biggest factor. I'm more stunned that the money has come this much in on the Browns for a game that I didn't have much of a take on to begin with.
Yeah, Julian, I think you hit on something really important here. If you're a new bettor, obviously if you want to bet NFL, you're going to check this stuff from when the lines come out the week before all the way up until game time. But in particular, it's these late moves that are really, really meaningful to me. Like if you get on game day, and you look at in the morning, and you compare when you wake up to when the game starts at 1 o'clock. If you see late movement the last couple hours before kickoff, that's very notable because that's when the odds makers raise the limits. You can have the biggest bets come in. You have the most information on the game. So I think we're looking at all these injuries here, but just take the injuries away. Where's the line going? It's going toward the Cleveland Browns. And you mentioned it, Julian. This was a couple days ago, 6.5 or an opener around 6.5 with Cincinnati. We came into the studio, it was around I think it was maybe even 5, 4.5, something like that. You're down to 4, 3.5. This line's going pretty big here to Cleveland. Divisional dogs this year, 61% against the spread. I'd also look toward the under here. Julian, you hit on that really good stat.
I like the under.
Outdoors, the total's falling. It opened 50, it's down to 46. Divisional unders that fall at least a half point, they're 71% this year. So we have a line toward the dog, we have a line toward the under. That's good correlative betting. It seems gross, maybe a letdown after that big KC win. I look at the Browns and the points here.
All right, guys, let's go to America's team here. Let's go to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence expected to play for the Jags in Tennessee against the Titans. And the Titans, as we mentioned earlier in our trends, pretty good at bouncing back following a straight-up loss in the Vrabel-Tannehill era. Josh, you considering this a sweat-free game?
It depends on what side you're on here, Emerson.
Okay.
I think the
it's
obvious
3-point
play,
favorites at home. We got the Titans right
exactly.
now.
And it's, Emerson, it seems obvious. Take the Titans. They've struggled a bit here late, but obviously the Jags, once they kind of get you going, they let you down a little bit here. And I feel like so many times we've done shows where the Jags are super sharp and sometimes they cover, sometimes they don't. But I think as bettors, take away what the pass has done. This line's going to the Jaguars, guys. They were coming in here, as high as I think I saw a 5, a 6, something like that. You're all the way down to 3.5. The hook is meaningful here because when books operate giving out a 3.5 versus going to 3, there's a lot of buyback both sides. I'm seeing a lot of 3.5s get down to 3 with Jacksonville. I look at the Jags and kind of hold your nose and take the points.
Jules is back to 3.5 now.
Yeah, and Josh said that's a key number. If it's at 3, I don't hate laying it with Tennessee at home. We saw that trend, how good Vrabel and Tannehill have been together, bouncing back after those losses. And Jacksonville, they've been a different team home and away, it feels like. Trevor Lawrence gets dinged up. What is he going to look like in this road game after they just get smoked at Detroit? For me, again, we're outdoors, we're in division, it's that time of year. I'm probably looking at an under in this game if I can't lay the 3 with Tennessee. I agree, once it's above 3, can't lay it with Tennessee. I'm not gonna go to Jacksonville though in this game. I don't trust him. I don't know what Lawrence's health is. So I would say another divisional outdoor under.
Yeah, he's obviously not very good, as you can see on the monitor, against the spread versus the AFC South.
Yeah, there's that too.
In his young career, yeah. Let's go to Tom Brady. Tom Brady led teams. This is insane. 16-3-2 to the over on their preseason win total. So that said, the Bucs are 1 loss away from going under their preseason win total, which was 11 this season. Who's sweating here? Brady facing a backup rookie quarterback today in San Francisco. Jules, are you?
It depends what you're looking at, I guess. We bring up the win total. Whatever happens today, the Bucs are going under their win total. It's not going to happen for them, win or lose in San Francisco. I'm sure it's a spot Tom Brady has circled. The Niners, his childhood team. I'm sure he wants to play well there, a team that he maybe wanted to go to at one point in time. Steve Buchanan and I were talking about this on the Unreasonable Odds podcast this week. We were like, wait a second, this has to be the first time that Tom Brady has ever been an underdog to a rookie quarterback. It is not. One time before, 2006, 3.5-point underdogs to Vince Young and the Tennessee Titans. I was in like high school, I think, then,
Wow.
so it's been a little while. Yeah, man. You were like 40.
I feel it.
So when you think of it that way, like, am I going to lay points with a rookie quarterback against Tom Brady? And a little bit of a look-ahead spot for San Francisco, who has the short week. They play Seattle on Thursday night. This is a tough one, but the Bucs don't score points. Like, that wasn't a comeback in like a 40-point game. That was a 17-16 comeback. I would go Niners here. That defense with Brady on the road, I just don't think it's a very good outlook for the Bucs.
Josh, Tom Brady, 8-0 against rookie quarterbacks making their first career start.
I'm going to take Brady in the points in this
There you
one.
go.
Again, this line opened at some look-ahead lines at like 6.5, all the way down to 3.5. What's notable to me is if you look at the betting percentages here, they're 50-50 down the middle. Public doesn't know what to do. On the one hand, like, oh, I can get Brady points. How do I not take that? But then you look at San Fran with this great defense, with all their skill position players, short kind of number at home on a really good team. So the fact that it's 50-50, anytime I see a split right down the middle, I look at where does the line go? Because in a vacuum, a line really shouldn't move at all, theoretically, if the tickets are even. But it looks to me the bigger wagers seem to be going Brady. The 3.5 here with Tom Brady, plus 3.5, it's minus 115 at some shops. Like, it may get down to 3. Also, if you look at Shanahan as a favorite, he's only 20-28 against the spread, only covered 42% of the time. Also, there could be rain here. It could be a weather game. And Julian, we're looking at a lot of weather today. Rainy, kind of gross. It's not going to be cold, but it could be windy. That total has plummeted. That was like a 41 opener down to like 37.5. But I'll take the hook with Brady in this one.
Total-wise, I like the weather pushing towards the under, but weather-wise, for a side, I do still think that points to San Francisco with the ground and pound and the defense.
All right, boys, hang out. Josh, I'm going to need
Okay.
you back at the desk. Jules, you're going to be heading over to the Build-A-Bet workshop. You help the folks watching right now make some money, a little same-game parlay action. Josh, we're going to see where you are fading and where you are riding with the public. Coming up here on The Sweat, presented by the DraftKings Sportsbook. A 135-second break here.
DraftKings Sportsbook is an official sports betting partner of the NFL, and this season, new customers can bet $5 to win $150 in free bets if your team's moneyline bet wins. Use code SWEAT when you sign up. DraftKings Sportsbook is an official
Welcome back to The Sweat, everybody, presented by the DraftKings Sportsbook. I'm Emerson Lancia. Right now, we are going to send it, I don't know what just happened, right? Meow. We're going to send it over to Jules in the Build-A-Bet workshop. Let's go. Whipping up something special for all you guys and gals. Building a same-game parlay from the Texans-Cowboys game?
Yes, thank you, Emerson. I would be nervous pitching it to me as well because this is a
You're so
fantastic
big,
bet
dude.
that we're going to work on
Big
here.
A-lister here.
I know, it's all right. People get nervous around me. All right, we're going to Texans and Cowboys here. Obviously, massive spread, not a game that anybody thinks the Cowboys are going to lose. So how can we build something with some correlation here? Because if you're building a same-game parlay, you obviously want to make sure that all of your legs are working together. So we're going to go with something, last I looked, it was plus 240, that ties together. We're starting in the rushing props, and I know that Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard have been sharing time lately, but Pollard's been the guy that's ripping off the big chunk yardage, so we're going to go over 64.5 rushing yards for him against a Houston defense that gives up almost $170 a game on the ground. Both of these guys can have 70, 80 yards, and I think Pollard's the guy I'm more confident in to get there with his explosiveness. And when we stay in rushing props, let's see, we're going to go down to anytime touchdown score. That's up in touchdown scores. Here we go. We're going to go with Pollard to get in the end zone as well. TD scores, and there he is at minus 105 there. Ooh. So maybe it ties in with the yardage because maybe he can rip one off and get into the end zone. If not, I still like his odds to score. He's been scoring pretty consistently when he's been getting the bulk of the carries. And then finally, we're going to go all the way to team scoring props. And we just went with a Tony Pollard touchdown. So if he's going to get into the end zone, the Cowboys are going to put some points on the board. So Dallas Cowboys total points. Their team total is 30.5 for the game. I'll put them at over 27.5 here, getting to that key number of 28. I think they'll get at least there against this Houston Texans team. Now, you want to look at these three legs together. Why is there only one pick there? That's not how this is supposed to work.
Awesome.
There's the other one. Okay. You got to just trust me. You put it all together. It's plus 240. It was supposed to be a lot smoother than that. Speaking to somebody that was not smooth with the transition over here, we'll just go back to the desk with Emerson Latzia. Those three legs are correlated. It works.
You get plus 235 odds, right?
It went up to 240.
Oh,
even better.
That's even better.
Yep, nice number.
So trust Jules or not. That's completely up to you at home. Let's see where Josh Applebaum is going to follow the money here. You're a ride or die guy with the public. So Texans Cowboys spread. 64% of the handles on Dallas minus 17. You following the money here?
So Cowboys, I'm inclined to kind of follow this money here. And I think taking a step back, Emerson, you hear the phrase a lot, follow the money. What does that actually mean? To me, it means what kind of money are you following? If it's sharp, money coming from respected bettors who set their own power ratings, who play off discrepancies, I want to follow that money. I don't want to follow public money that's just $5 average Joe bets, betting based on gut instinct and bias. So to me, I'm actually leaning at laying this big number because if you look at the betting percentages here, it's like 50-50 basically in terms of tickets. True. But 64% of dollars here on Dallas. And Dallas at one point, I would think they were a little bit lower, like minus 15. It's kind of a faraway book opener here. The line's going to Dallas. Julian gave us that great stat earlier that when you get later in the season, especially these bigger numbers, you actually kind of see the cream rise to the top and some of these big favorites do cover. So I like that it's 50-50 tickets. It's not a huge public play Dallas, but more money's on Dallas. Line's going to Dallas. Maybe this is a 41-14 game.
I mean, when I'm looking here at the Vikings-Lions money line here, you've got a majority of tickets and majority of money are on Minnesota, and the Lions money line is your best bet here. So remind us again why you're going against the grain.
So I'm going against it because I think this is just basically a fishy line that makes no sense. And to me, when you look at a line that doesn't make any sense, don't run to the window and say, I'm smarter than the book. Again, you could be right here and there, but long term, the book is setting their numbers from a pretty smart perspective on the game based on their power ratings and how they view the matchups, the adjustments that they've made to the spread. So I love this. I think the public's just saying, not only is the wrong team favored, but we're taking not just the points here with the Vikings. We're just going to go money line and have them win the game outright. So I'm going to fade this money. To me, this is more public money. Big majority of dollars here from public bettors, yet the line keeps going to Detroit. So if Detroit opened getting 3, they flip to -2, even 2.5. Tells me that that majority of bets are public. The bigger, sharper wagers seem to be moving this line toward Detroit. That's why I'm going to take Detroit here.
And then quick on this one, Josh, we talked about the line coming down in this game between the Browns and the Bengals. 89% of the handle, 84% of the bets still on the Cincinnati money line. So which side are you riding here?
I have to take the points with Cleveland. I bet against this one, Emerson, because if you look at, you mentioned it, really lopsided here toward the Bengals. But the Bengals, are not up to -5, -6. They're going the other way. We're down to 4. We're down to 3.5. I was looking for an injury. Is Burrow Burrow hurt? Is something going on here?
way, man.
No, it just looks like
It's
straight
just
up.
Burrow has sucked against the Browns. That's what it
Exactly.
is. He's
He
0-4
lost
against
prior.
them.
So that tells me it's public. I'd go Cleveland. I'm going to bet against that big money, that public money on Cincy.
I mean, Bengals have won 4 straight since that Halloween disaster against the Browns. We got one final break to go. We got one final block to go. Where you guys are looking at a few props, maybe a few specials on the board this week. We will see all you guys and gals back here in 2 minutes. All right, back here for our final block of the sweat presented by the DraftKings Sportsbook. It is time to share your Sunday specials. Josh, what's your favorite one right now?
I'm going to Monday night, Patriots and Arizona. What I'm going to look at is a combination here. Plus 350 for DeAndre Hopkins to have 1 receiving touchdown or more, and for Mac Jones to throw 250 or more passing yards. Couple things to like about each player in this spot. Number one, against number 1 wide receivers, Patriots have struggled. We saw what Justin Jefferson did against them. Stephon Diggs, same thing last week. Jalen Mills could be hurt here. Your secondary could be banged up. I see Hopkins having a good game, getting a touchdown there against the Pats pass defense.
Problems.
And Mac Jones, he's playing better, Emerson. Ever since he was benched, he had the injury. His stats, he's limiting his turnovers. Throw 250 or more. He's going up against Arizona, who is the 24th worst pass offense this year, giving up almost 250 a game. Big game Hopkins, big game Mac Jones, plus 350.
Jules, what do you like?
Yeah, we've been talking a lot of unders so far on the show. We have a lot of divisional games. We have a lot of outdoor games that plays into those trends. But a team that I think will be scoring is the Dallas Cowboys. You can get them plus 350 to be the highest scoring team. I bet them over 30.5 on the team total, so I'll take that one.
Yeah, you went pretty hard on them, too, in the Build-A-Bet workshop. Yeah, very, very
Too
good.
hard,
Maybe.
maybe.
Fails.
Incredible show, everybody. Thanks so much for hanging with us. We'll be over on the DK social channels right now for another 30 minutes of sports betting. Hey everybody, welcome back into our studios. We got 30 more minutes of this show. Lots more chatter on the DK Sportsbook coming up in best bets, including some primetime picks with Jeff Ulrich, who, along with Steve Buchanan, joining Jesse Cofield now, rocking Thor on the sweater.
Oh yeah, baby.
You got some picks for the Week 14 Millie Maker, huh?
Yes, which by the way, you can be a part of again this week. So we have another $1 million on the line. So this week's $3 million fantasy football millionaire, $20 entry fee, right? Okay, that's gonna get you a shot at a grand prize of $1 million. Now, in addition to that grand prize of $1 million, the winner also gonna earn a semifinal ticket to another $1 million top prize competition if you can join the DraftKings Tournament of Champions. So that's $3 million in total prizes, $20 entry fee. Never been a better time to get in on the action with DraftKings. So who should you be sliding into those Millie Maker lineups? Like, I don't know. I can't tell you. So guess what? I'm going to bring in Steve Buchanan and Jeff Ulrich. You guys are going to tell us who people should be slotting into their lineups. And Jeff, I'm not going to lie. The guy you're going with for quarterback, I'm not sure if I would endorse that.
Here we go.
Yeah, you would. Yeah, you would. It's Russell Wilson. Why not?
Oh, what?
Look, he's $5,100, and
Because he stinks.
Quiet. Because you're on the screen with me today. Look, you look at what have the Kansas City Chiefs done over the last 4 or 5 weeks? Their pass defense has not been good. They've allowed the 6th most fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks. Every single quarterback outside of Bryce Perkins this year has thrown for multiple passing touchdowns against the Kansas City Chiefs. This is really just a price per dollar thing. We've got a lot of different, upper end running backs and wide receivers that we can pay up for in this spot today on this slate. I think Russell Wilson at 5,100, you could even pair him with a cheap Greg Dulcich if you want. Makes for a very cost-effective way to start lineups, and it won't shock me if he puts up like a 250 multiple touchdown line, which is more than enough to pay off that salary.
Steve, I know you're not going to let Russ cook today.
No, and you know what? It's the holiday season. People need to buy Christmas gifts. That's one way to make sure your kids are miserable on Christmas Day is by pairing Russell Wilson with anybody today. So I'm going to go with a more expensive choice, but which should be a lot safer choice with Jalen Hurts going up against the Giants. Last week, Jalen Hurts had to do everything with his arm. He wasn't able to rush against a good team against the run, and he did just that with 31 DraftKings fantasy points. Now he's going up against a Giants team that ranks 28th in DVOA against the pass and 27th against the run. Hurts has thrown for at least 2 touchdowns and rushed for 1 in 3 of his last 5 games played. We should be seeing more of the same of that today. Don't mind paying up for him today because I think there's a lot of other ways you can pay down this week.
All right, Jeff, for your choice at running back, you're going to be going with DeAndre Swift. Now, in Detroit's victory against the Jags, he carried the football 14 times for 62 yards, caught 4 passes for 49 yards. So you're thinking this guy going to be featured heavily?
But it's been a long wait for DeAndre Swift owners. We've been waiting and seeing, and he's been on the field. He's taken like 8 touches. Jamal Williams getting like 4 touchdowns, but it feels like he's back. 51% of the snaps out-touched Jamal Williams in the last game. And God, this matchup, for DeAndre Swift, what a matchup. Minnesota allowed the 3rd most receiving yards to opposing running backs. They just allow a ton of swing passes out of the backfield. Their linebackers are not going to be able to match up well versus DeAndre Swift at all. You've got a game here where Detroit could just be moving the ball as well. And everyone's going to be playing Jared Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown. But what if DeAndre Swift just does everything here? What if he just takes a couple 50-yard runs to the house or something, ends up in the end zone 3 times? At under $6K, I'm certainly willing to find out, to pay to $5,800 to find out. This is a player who could pay off for us just in the receiving game alone in a terrific matchup. $5,800, yeah, I think you take a shot with the explosive Swift here today.
All right, Steve, who do you want to slot in at your running back position?
Yeah, at $900 more, you can get the guy in the ultimate game script game with Tony Pollard going up against the Houston Texans. They're 17-point favorites this week against whatever you want to call this Houston Texans team. Can't even call them a team. When you go from Davis Mills to Kyle Allen and then back to Davis Mills, it just tells you how much of a whatever you want to call this team is just complete disarray. But even with Zeke Elliott back over the last 3 weeks, Tony Pollard is still averaging 15 carries per game and just under 4 targets. The Texans lead the league in missed tackles. Pollard has been an absolute beast on the ground to begin with. He's averaging almost 6 yards per carry on the season. That's over a span of 148 carries. So you can go with Swift. You're a week late. That was the game last week. Bust this week. Spend up the money a little bit more. Get Tony Pollard against the Houston Texans.
All right, Jeff, let's talk wide receiver. You like Chris Godwin in this spot. And the 49ers are a pretty good defense, but they haven't been great against the pass.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is an underrated spot, really, for Godwin. Look, you don't need me here to sit here and tell you to play Justin Jefferson or Amon-Ra St. Brown to these guys. I mean, that's easy. Like, do that. You can still play those guys. But we're talking Millie Maker. We're trying to make some money, really get to the top end of these contests. Chris Godwin is going to go under-owned today. He's only 6,700. You look at the team target share that Chris Godwin has had over the last 4 weeks. I don't know if there's anyone who's just taken a bigger chunk of his team's overall targets. Godwin is getting targeted at an insane rate by Brady. We love this. The San Francisco 49ers secondary, yes, they're great at stopping the run. They're great at just limiting opponents' points, but they allow a ton of yards. They allowed Tyreek Hill to get there last week. They've allowed some big games in the past. Juju Smith-Schuster put up 100 and a touchdown against them. Godwin could really go nuts here in a lot of different ways. It doesn't have to be a Tampa Bay win here game script for Godwin to get there. So 6,700. A little bit scared of the rain there, but it's just rain. It's San Francisco. How bad can it be? So Godwin, to me, at 6,700, a great tournament play today. Again, you can pair him with another high-priced receiver. You don't have to just go super contrarian across the board, but I really do like him for the Millie Maker. I think he's going to go under-owned today.
Yeah, 49ers on average giving up 21 fantasy points per game to the wide receiver position. Steve, who do you want to play at wide receiver?
Yeah, you want to talk about someone who's getting a massive target share and is also going to be going overlooked. It's Christian Kirk going up against the Tennessee Titans. This is a great matchup in that same game environment. Jalen Hurts just absolutely picked that secondary apart. Now we have Christian Kirk, who in a good matchup last week against the Lions, a bad secondary there. 6 receptions, 104 receiving yards, and 19.4 DraftKings fantasy points. You look at the numbers that he's averaging on the year. Over 8 targets per game, over 5 receptions per game, and an average of 70 receiving yards per game. 6,600. Nobody's going to want to click on Christian Kirk this afternoon because some of the guys that are surrounding him and just, Trevor Lawrence coming into this game, he is playing today, but was questionable coming to this one. I think this is such a great tournament play for Christian Kirk here, who truly could have, less than 5% ownership today. He's going to have a huge game against this secondary.
All right, Jeff, tell us who you're going with for tight end here.
Going with Mark Andrews. I like paying up in the spot for Mark Andrews, man. I mean, this Tyler Huntley, Mark Andrews connection is pretty insane. 4 games last year where Huntley started, he didn't target Andrews less than 10 times in any of those games. And look, I know you look back last week, he only had 7 targets. He had a bit of a slow game, but he still had 7 targets. I mean, I think Huntley and Andrews here could get pushed a little bit by Pittsburgh, who's been pretty good of late. And I think you're going to see Andrews pop up again as the main kind of guy for Huntley. Huntley knows what he is. He's a bit of a limited passer. He's going to run a lot as well in the red zone, but when he throws, he just likes to take those short throws over the middle, and I think it's going to lead to a lot of Mark Andrews targets. So Steelers really just not a good secondary in any facet. They still allow a lot of receptions to the tight end position. I think Andrews at 6,500 has every chance to kind of explode today just from a volume perspective. I like paying up for him.
Steve, who's your guy?
I think that's the most expensive tight end that Jeff has ever talked about in his entire existence. So make sure to, save that moment. Make it an NFT or something if they're still around. TJ Hawkinson, 5,100 against Detroit, going up against his former team here that traded him away earlier this season. Since he's come on with the Vikings, he's averaging over 8 targets per game. He hasn't seen less than 6 in a game since he's arrived here in Minnesota. The Lions are very generous to the tight end position, allowing over 14 DraftKings fantasy points per game, 8 touchdowns allowed. That is the second most in the league. Hawkinson has seen a ton of red zone targets as well, 8 since he's joined the Vikings. That number should go up today. 5,100, that feels like a small price to pay in one of the highest game scoring environments today.
All right, thank you, gentlemen.
Wow.
Steve, going to need you to stick around and perhaps put on your judge's robes. I'm going to throw it over to Emerson while you do that. Yeah.
Okay, yes, because right now, Judge Bukes. It's one of America's favorite segments here on The Sweat. So what's going to happen is you two are going to share some of your favorite bets for a few games here on the slate. Then Steve's basically going to judge them. So, Jules, right now, your best bet, your favorite bet from Eagles-Giants. What do you got?
Well, my bet's a lot better than Steve wrapping whatever coat he could find around his shoulders.
What?
That's, okay, well, whatever that is.
Judge's robe. That's like one of your wife's jackets.
Giants and Eagles here. Steve threw me off my game. We're going under 44.5. It was 45 this morning. Now we're a juiced minus 115 to the under 44.5. I like this one to go under. Just a third of the tickets are on that under, but 55% of the handle, so it looks like a pretty sharp play. We spoke earlier on the first show, divisional outdoor unders. On the podcast, Steve and I talked about under 40.5 for Washington and New York last week. What does it do? It lands on 40 in overtime. Divisional outdoor unders, 26, 11, and 1, 70% cashing this season. Giants are 8-4 to the under. Philly has been an over team, but you take them on the road, just 2-3 to the over. This game is going to be a grinder. Philly probably wins it. I don't mind the Giants at plus 7.5, but they're going to win it by running the ball on the Giants. This is going to be a divisional outdoor under.
Judge Bukes, please have at it. The floor is yours.
Yeah, the judge's robe is there in Boston, so I just threw on this winter coat. I'll probably just do it for once because it's very uncomfortable. I hate this under here. You know, Julian wants to bring out these obscure trends, you know, divisional outdoor unders when the wind is pointing northeast, all this crap. I don't care about that. You know what I care about? The Eagles team total set at 26.5. They could legitimately drop 30 to 35 points on this Giants team today. Won't take much for the Giants to make up the difference here. Eagles, 75 points the last 2 weeks against the Titans and Packers. Give me a break. This game's going over. Julian is wrong, per the usual. Look at his best bets record. It stinks.
Yeah, man. Philly offense just humming right now. Speaking of divisional unders here, what do you got?
So I'm going to go to
For
Jets,
Jets
and Buffalo. Yeah, I'm actually going to lean under on this one, but one quick comment on the spread, guys. It's minus 10 Buffalo. Seems like a big number here, but actually public's all over the Jets. At one point, the Bills were minus 9.5, now up to minus 10. Bills are only getting 31% of bets, so it kind of looks like a fade the trendy dog. I'd lean Buffalo there on the spread. But Steve, let me know what you think about this one. Under in this one, it opened around 44.5, down to 43.5. Julian mentioned a couple of these divisional unders, though, 62%. You look at the weather, though. This will be one big weather game today up in Buffalo.
Steve loves
35 degrees.
Steve loves the weather.
Rain and snow, the wind, and also windy unders that are 10 miles per hour or more, 64% under. Buffalo, you'd think they're a high-scoring over team. They're actually 9-3 under. 20-17 last time they played. I'm going under 43.5 here.
Judge Bukes, the weather forecast. Wow, the precipitation's going to be changing. A mix of rain and snow. Breezy conditions, 9 to 13 mile per hour winds. Oh my God.
I need Josh to re-say whatever that was. What was the under with what?
When the wind blows 10 miles per hour or more, the under is 64% this year. It's about 60% last 10 years.
Wow. I get it.
When the wind blows,
I don't ever want to hear that trend again. I don't ever want to hear that again. That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my entire life. But the sad part is, like, I actually agree with you, but now I want to disagree with you because whatever that stupid trend was that you just talked about, don't ever talk about that trend again. But two of the better defenses in the league, you know, obviously the weather is going to be a factor today. I'm with you on that one. Buffalo has been brutal with the over anyways, 3-9 on the year with hitting the over. I do like the under in this one, but it has nothing to do with whatever forsaken trend that you just gave a minute ago.
Jules, I love your bet here for Ravens Steelers because it's the complete opposite. It's the complete opposite of what Steve had listed as his best bet today, which was Steelers money line, which we brought everyone at the top of the show at 11 o'clock.
Yeah, well, I mean, you want to fade a trend. Steve's not going to win everybody makes. Ravens money line. They are the side in this game. I don't care that Lamar Jackson is out. That's what makes them an underdog in this game. The Steelers have been doing fine. They've been an underdog essentially weekly. Now they're in that favorite role, and I will take the Ravens as an underdog in this matchup. The Steelers have done well in this head-to-head if you want to go back years in the division. This is a new Steelers team. This is not the same Steelers team. The Ben Roethlisberger era is over. We are on to Kenny Pickett, who's going to have to figure out this Baltimore defense. Steelers are just 2-3 at home. It's not like they've been dominant at home, although they've been winning best bets for Steve on a weekly basis somehow. We still got to add up the numbers there. Baltimore's 4-2 on the road. Huntley knows this matchup. He played in it last season. I think that was even in 2022, so he's faced this Steelers defense recently. I think Baltimore is the right side of this game. I'm not worried about Lamar Jackson being out as long as it's short term. Baltimore can overcome this.
Steve, again, we know your best bet, Steelers money line here, man. They're going for a fifth straight win against the Ravens.
I mean, Julian can say that, like, not every bet is going to hit, but at least at how it stands, there has not been one instance this season where a user has put money on DraftKings and DraftKings has taken that money if they tailed me. So you can say whatever you want. people have lost money with you. Okay, so there's that. In terms of
Well,
the
no,
Steelers,
no, I think 7-5-1 is profitable.
That is
Slightly.
That is technically-
They haven't lost
And
money.
honestly, you three as a team with your best bets, nearly
Correct.
67% of them have hit. That is profitable.
I mean, what also is profitable is 10-0-1. That's
Yeah,
also
it
very
is.
profitable, if I did mind that. Anyways, I love this spot for the Steelers. I didn't think I was going to end up being a Steelers stan coming into the season, but it has been that way lately. Taylor Huntley, he stays in the pocket more than almost any other quarterback in the league. He's averaging almost 2.87 seconds in the pocket. You guys know has one of the best pass rushes in the league. It's the Dallas Cowboys and it's the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're going to generate a ton of pressure on him. They're also one of the best run defenses in the league, which that is kind of the Baltimore Ravens' crutch here. I'm taking the Steelers. I'm going to continue to ride them here. We're going to go 11-0-1 after this week, and another loss for Julian in the loss column.
All right.
Steeler Steve and his terrible towel. Needs a terrible towel.
Mark the tape, baby. Josh, bring us home here. You got a bet from Bucks 49ers.
Yeah, Bukes, let me know what you think about this one. I'm going to go Bucks, Tom Brady plus 3.5 here with the hook. I'm seeing this line trend maybe down to 3. This is a 425 game. This opened as high as some look aheads like 6.5 down to 3.5. Obviously, you can make the case this is Brady versus Brock Purdy, but I think there's more to it. From a data standpoint, 50-50 tickets, public doesn't know what to do, yet the line is going to Brady. Shanahan in this spot has not covered a lot of numbers. He's a really good dog coach, but as a favorite, he's only covering 42% of the time. I like the under 2, Steve, but it's fallen so much. It was like 41.5 down to 37.5. I'm going to take Brady and the points here. If you look at sweet spot dogs getting 3.5 or more, they're 61% against the spread this year.
All right, Judge Bukes, have at it.
Yeah, I would say that the under was the play earlier in the week, but like Josh said, this has come down so much that can't play that anymore. I'm actually surprised that Josh is on this side because I feel like this is the side that, everybody wants you to take, right? Is Brady going up against this rookie quarterback. The thing that really, I think, kind of skews with everybody is aside from the last, 3.5 minutes in that game last week, Brady and the Bucks looked awful in that game. Now they're going up against one of the strongest defensive teams in the league. If they weren't able to get it going last week until the last 3 minutes, what's going to happen here against San Francisco? The reason that San Francisco is going to win this game is not going to be because of Brock Purdy. It's going to be because of the rest of the offense and defense. I think they're going to get a ton of pressure on Brady. The frustration is going to start coming again. I like San Francisco on this side.
All right, thank you, Your Honor. We truly appreciate it. We got primetime picks coming up right after Mike Golick, Sr., drops a little bit of knowledge on you about tonight's Dolphins-Chargers game in L.A. 49ers, we know, knocked off the Dolphins last week. Miami decided to, stay out west all week long before taking on the Chargers Sunday night. So you're going to be on the call of this game, right? Okay.
Yes.
Was this a move like any of your teams pulled back in your playing days, kind of just chilling in one region of the country instead of flying back and forth?
Oh, yeah. We did that one year. We played Denver and then played on the West Coast that next week. We just stayed out there in practice. So, yeah, teams that come from the west to east a lot of times will stay as well. I know the Greenbrier, that resort gets used a lot, not only for training camps, but when teams spend a week out east there as well. So, yeah, it's definitely done by more than a few teams.
Okay, so you feel like it helps, or in your case, think back again to your playing days. Does it throw guys out of a routine at all? Can it have a negative impact?
That's the key word you said right there is players are routine guys and itinerary guys. So the closest you can keep it to everybody's norm of when they're doing things and have a place for them to do it and keep everything as normal as possible, the better you are, because we are creatures of habit. And if all of a sudden we're thrown off of that, it can get a little dicey in your prep work because guys come in early to lift, guys stay late to watch film. So you got to make sure you are able to accommodate the players and what their normal schedule is. And I think teams are smart enough to do that. So I think we're at the point where people work through that pretty well.
All right, let's continue that prime time chatter right now. So Dolphins, Chargers tonight, Pats, Cardinals tomorrow. Dolphins 5-1 to the over on the road, clearly going off. When they hop on a plane, they stuck around L.A. too after facing San Francisco last week. They just decided to hang out in California, catch some sun, catch some rays.
Catch some tasty waves.
Dude, yes, hang 10, bro.
Yeah.
All right, and then Monday night, we got the Pats at Cardinals, two teams that have just been struggling recently.
Yeah, not great. DraftKings contributor Jeff Ulrich is here, though. He's going to give us his picks for Sunday Night Football and Monday Night Football this week. We're going to do his favorite bets, and we're also going to do DFS plays.
Okay, cool. So then we will start with, looks like, favorite bet for Miami and Chargers tonight. What do you got, dude?
Yeah, I'm going to go to Jalen Waddle here, a player who's been a little bit disappointing the last couple of weeks. But, I just love buying low on players who, coming off a couple slow games and are just in obvious solid usage spots. Jalen Waddle's averaged 87.5 receiving yards, but he's got a prop in this game that's 62.5. I just don't know why you wouldn't want to take the over here. He's gone over this total in 9 of 11 games already this season. This is a player who gets heavy usage in an offense that's really liked to pass the ball lately. I think that when you look at how the Chargers set up as well, they have some athletes that they're probably going to try and put on Tyreek Hill to limit him. It's just going to shift more usage over to Waddle. I think you can even look at the player parlay section on the DraftKings Sportsbook. 125 yards and a touchdown for Jalen Waddle. He's done this numerous times this year. That's plus 900. I really don't mind just going all in here on Waddle for a couple different categories on the DraftKings Sportsbook.
All right, and it looks like you want to captain Justin Herbert in this one for 16.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, we've got Miami. We got a big point total. We got the Chargers on the other side with a healthy Mike Williams. It's a lot of different ways we can go in this spot. But a couple things we do know about these two teams. The Dolphins just allow a lot of yards. They allow a lot of rushing yards to opposing quarterbacks. They allow a lot of passing yards. In terms of just pure fantasy points, fourth most fantasy points allowed to opposing quarterbacks. And I really like the spot for Herbert. I don't know if the Chargers are going to win this game or not. I think this is an interesting spot. I think you'll see a lot of points, though. He's got a healthy Mike Williams back. He's got a healthy Keenan Allen back. He's over the midseason injury that he had. And in the first 2 games of the year, he averaged right around 24, 25 DraftKings fantasy points. I think this is a spot where Justin Herbert, as the 4th most expensive player on the slate, we have Austin Eckler. I think Eckler won't see that much usage as a runner, though. We don't really have a dominant RB on the other side. You've got wide receivers who are going to split snaps. I think Herbert is the way to go here. If he sneaks one in or something or goes for a long run, could easily push for over 30 points here against a weaker Dolphins just defense overall.
All right, let's go to Monday Night Football here. Looks like for your best bet, you're expecting a little bit of points between the Pats and the Cardinals in the desert?
Really?
Yeah, it sounds, every time you hear a Patriots game, you're like, oh, this has to be an under. But, what happened 2 weeks ago when we saw Mac Jones and company go into a dome and play the Vikings? We got a shootout. Mac Jones was really good. He was, perfect through 3 quarters of that game. Arizona, over their last 6 games, opponents, the only opponent not to score 25 or more points against Arizona was the Rams. So you look at the Arizona Cardinals games, they've all seen 44 or more points over the last 6 weeks. Arizona's defense is just not good. Mac Jones is going to be able to come in, do exactly the same thing he did against the Vikings, work the short pass game. And then on the other side, you've got Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins. The reason why all these Arizona games have been going over lately, because Hopkins and Murray, they get the backdoor cover. They keep up with these opponents. They don't win a lot of games, but they keep up. I like this one going over. I think this point total is way too low at 43.5, so give me the over there.
All right, say more stuff about what you think Mac Jones is going to do, because that's who you want to put in your captain spot.
Yeah, you're looking at this game, and obviously you got a mobile quarterback. Kyler Murray is definitely in play for a captain's pick. You could look to Ramondre Stevenson as well, who I certainly considered, but I think this is the spot where Mac Jones could have another kind of game that he did against Minnesota. Throw for over 300 yards. The Arizona offense is going to make Mac Jones keep throwing in this game. Be really accurate against just a bad, banged up, thin Arizona secondary. I think Mac Jones has played really well over the last 3 weeks outside of that game against Buffalo, but we're going to give him a pass there because it's against Buffalo and it was outdoors. It's the complete opposite scenario. I think Mac Jones is a really good contrarian target. There's 3 or 4 players here you can consider for captain's targets as well, but I would not be shocked if Jones showed up and all the touchdowns kind of came from the passing game from New England on Monday night.
All right, dude. That is it. I believe you're going to be, you'll be part of the hot take segment. That is coming up after a quick break. And what we're going to do right now during that break is bring you the best of this show that we call The Sweat. Yeah, because it's not just here on Sunday mornings where we're lighting it up. No, Monday through Friday, oh my God, 11 o'clock Eastern time. It's the best hour of internet television. Trust me. Watch this, please.
What the happened? What the happened?
This week on The Sweat.
Our long 12-hour national nightmare is over. The arson judge sweepstakes is over.
Congratulations to Arson Judge signing for $1 billion with the Yankees after John Heyman originally reported that the San Francisco Giants had appeared to be circling in on what he mistyped as Arson Judge, which spawned a whole day of fire-related memes on God's internet.
Yeah! Back at it again.
Yeah, it's good to see you.
Been?
On vacation.
Oh, what have you been doing?
Conspiracy theory documentary.
All right, so week 14 around the NFL going to kick off with Raiders-Rams tonight.
And Jesse Cofield says, let Baker bake. Let Baker bake. Let Baker bake.
And I don't actually think he's good, but I just love saying that.
Yes.
It's really creative.
Anywho,
Yeah.
Dude, it is original.
I know.
Billy, come here for a second.
Billy, bring it on in. Help him out.
This is something where I've just been thinking about this for a little bit. I want what's best for me, okay? And what's best for me, I want Aaron Judge to stay with the Yankees.
We got DraftKings contributors Gary and Thorne and Julian Edlow virtually here, and we have Nick Fryer in studio, as you can see.
Handsome with the new haircut.
Yeah.
Wow.
I am not Carabas. I don't want the camera right on my face
The
like
hair
that.
looks great. The hair looks great. You know who else looks great? Anthony Davis.
Oh, I
All
thought
right,
you
he's been lights out his last 2 games. 99 points, like 27 rebounds, 6 blocks. I mean, just on fire, okay? So his odds for NBA MVP are sitting at plus 2,500. Is that something that you would consider right now, Nick?
You're serious with
Yeah,
this
I'm
question?
dead
Okay.
serious.
Did you write this question or did
if
he
he-
write this question?
No, the producer
like
wrote the
this.
question.
Okay, good. All right, because no.
This is the Anthony Davis that we've always hoped to see, and we know the ceiling that he has. He's not going to keep doing it for a whole season.
538 does their Raptor rankings. Anthony Davis is second right now in total Raptor.
What's Jason Tatum's rank in pterodactyl? I don't care about I love basketball, but basketball doesn't have the WAR stat. I don't want WAR. I want to eyeball.
It's got like
my
12 of
MVP.
them, just so you know. It's got more of them than baseball does.
Yeah, but I don't look at those because they don't matter.
All right, it is almost closing time here on The Sweat, and I'm pretty exhausted from carrying the show on my back. So I'm going to take this segment off. I'm just going to toss it over to Julian Edlow. Julian, flex your hosting muscle. Let's go.
Thank you, Jesse. My host. Ooh, Emerson's right there. Yeah, my hosting duties get shorter and shorter. I understand we only have less than 2 minutes left, so let's keep these 30 seconds or faster. Hot takes. Jeff, what do you got?
DeAndre Swift gonna have a day, absolute day against Minnesota, and I love this. Player parlays plus 1,300 for DeAndre Swift to go for 125 combined receiving rush yards and a touchdown against Minnesota, who will just allow Tony Pollard to go nuts against them. I think DeAndre Swift is gonna be the key. You're gonna make a lot of money betting on DeAndre Swift alt lines today.
Don't hate it. Josh, hot take. Where are you going?
Carolina Panthers, game we haven't talked about a ton. They're on the road at the Seattle Seahawks. This is the most lopsided play of the day. Only 20% of bets are taking Carolina in the points. This is at 1 point getting 6. You're down to 4, even 3.5 here. No Kenneth Walker for Seattle. I'm going to take the points with Carolina and hold my nose. They're off a bye, and Darnold did not play that bad his first time.
We definitely need to rethink having Steve's giant head just floating over Josh's shoulder for that entire answer. That's my hot take. Steve, what's yours?
If you could have figured out how to use a touchscreen, you could have made Tony Pollard go over 200 rushing yards against this Houston Texans defense. There's guys on that team that get paid to stop the run. They don't stop the run. Over 5 yards per carry allowed on the year by the Texans. Give me Tony Pollard for a monster game.
All right, well, that's not even a bet, so guess what? I know how to make this bet. Tony Pollard, most rushing yards on Sunday. It's plus 1,000. I'll take Steve's brain, and I'll make you money with it. That is it for our hot take segment. We're going to send it back to the... yeah, how much longer do I need to...
No, it's over. Yeah,
No,
that's
it's
it.
over. That's over. It's
Emerson
over.
and Jesse are going to go end the show because I was told to send it back to the desk.
All right, that is it.
That's
That's
a
our
show.
Week 14 edition of The Sweat. We love you. We'll see you next Sunday. You can also catch us during the week. Don't forget
How
to tune in
big
for that.
Steve's head
But-
is.
Okay.
Yeah.
They need to sit down.
Yeah.
Why? Why? The show's over. It's over.